week's deck tech is what I ran at my last FNM and also at game day. It's based off of a Pro Tour deck, which I can't remember which one it is exactly, but once I get this, it's not in its final form. I basically took that deck and switched out the cards a little bit so I didn't have to buy anything and just use what I had. So it's a little bit different from that, and once I get all the cards I need for that deck, I'll do a deck tech on that one because I really like that deck. I really like this deck, but I think with those improvements and stuff, it's going to be even better than this deck, and it's going to be awesomely fun to run. So this is what I ran at FNM in game day this week. For the land base, I have 4 forests and 3 mountains. There's no plains, or no forest. I'm not running plains. There's no forest in it or islands. There's no islands in it at all, which was a little mistake on my part because I added in quite a few blue costing cards, and if I didn't get the necessary blue mana, they were kind of stuck in my hand, and there's quite a few of them compared to the original deck. So I gotta fix that if I'm going to keep running this deck, but like I said, I'm going to run that deck, so I think I'm just going to spend the money and buy the cards I need. But those are the basic lands. I also include 3 copies of Temple of Epiphany because I had them, and scrying is awesome. And they tap for blue or red. So a lot of my dual lands, I think all but 4 of my dual lands tap for blue mana. So it has the blue mana and it just doesn't have basic blue mana. Everything comes into play tapped. Most of it. But anyway, for those, I also have 1 copy of Shivan Reef. It taps for blue or red mana if you pay a life. Otherwise it taps for colorless mana. So that's kind of nice-ish. You know, it's blue mana. Paying a life isn't that bad of a deal, generally speaking. I also include 1 Yavimaya Coast. It's the green-blue pain land, so you can pay a life to tap for green or blue, or you can just tap it for colorless, which is great because in the beginning games when you need that color, you can pay the life. Otherwise, you can just pay for colorless and not have to pay any life for it. It's awesome. To offset my life loss from paying for all those stuff, I have Thornwood Falls, 3 copies of that, taps for green or blue, comes into play tap, and you gain a life when it comes into play, so that's awesome. And I also have 4 copies of Rugged Highlands, green, red, come into play tap, you gain a life. See? I'm offsetting stuff here by gaining life with these lands. It works. Most of the time. Most of the time this deck worked really, really well. Just a little bit of mana problems. I also have 1 copy of Mana Confluence. That card's really good. Paying a life for any color you want is awesome. Although later in the games you basically can't tap it because you're paying life. And it's not like I mean, it depends on how far you are in the game. If you have a lot of life to play with, you're good. But if you're down to like your last couple of lives, it's really hard to tap it to play something out. It has to be very much worth your while. So I kind of prefer Yavimaya Coast and Shivan Reef, I think it was, because you can tap it for colorless mana without paying a life, which is kind of nice. If that had this would be awesome. But regardless, it's still really good. And final 4 spaces of land are Frontier Bivouac. Comes into play tap suddenly, but you can tap it for either green, red, or blue, which is also blue because blue in this deck is awesome. All the blue cards in here are really fun to play. Yes, I know, that's weird coming from me. Blue cards. I'm saying blue cards are fun to play. Because they are. So that's the land base. For creatures, you have your basic 4 copies of Elvish Mystic, 1 mana for a 1/1, tap for a forest. That's awesome, and it's really good for things with green stuff in it. But it doesn't tap for blue. But it taps for green, so that's nice. I also include only 3 copies of Rattleclaw Mystic. I have a full playset, but 3 is enough in this deck. 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 green for a 2/1 creature. Taps for green, red, or blue mana. You can also put it down, face down as a morph creature, and then pay 2 colorless to flip it over. And when you do, you get to add red, green, and blue to your mana pool, and then you can use that to do awesome things with it, like play out a Sagu Mauler on turn 4 or 3. Which if I had another land that came into play tapped, I could have done that. But sadly, no. I was stuck waiting a whole extra turn. It was really sad. But, yeah, it was sad. I was sad. But 3 copies of those because they're awesome. Seriously, awesome. I love them. I also include 4 copies of Heir of the Wilds. Yes, it was the promo you got at game day, but it's awesome. It's 2 mana for a 2/2 with Death Touch. 2 mana for a 2/2 with Death Touch, I'll pay any day. It also has the Ferocious ability. If you have a creature 4 or greater, it becomes a 3/3 when it attacks. A 3/3 Death Toucher. It's evil. It's awesome. There's 4 copies of it for a reason. I like it a lot. Alright. The next 2 cards in this deck were so much fun to play with, and they can really surprise your opponent. Seriously. 2 copies of Boon Satyr. 1 colorless, 2 green, for a 4/2. It's big, it's bad, and if you have Temur Ascendancy out, when you play it, it has haste. So you can attack for 8 with 6 mana and kill your opponent when they don't have anything and 7 life. Yes, my opponent will never make that mistake again, because there is something that costs 6 mana that can get you from 7 to 0. If you have Temur Ascendancy out and 2 Boon Satyrs in hand, you're good. But you can also, it has Flash, which is really nice, so you can play it basically whenever at the end of your opponent's turn, so you can have him to attack. And he also has the awesome ability of Bestow. 3 colorless, 2 green mana, and you can put him on top of a creature that's already attacking because of the Flash and make it even bigger. So throwing, a 4/2 on top of your 4/4 Savage Knuckleblade and swinging for 8 is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me tell you, it's beautiful. 2 copies of that. I don't want any more though, because that 2 power is not fun to play with because it's really weak. It needs to go on something to make it relevant. Speaking of Savage Knuckleblade, I got a full playset in there because Savage Knuckleblade, you guys know how much I love this card. Yeah, I'm playing with a full playset. Green, red, and blue for a 4/4 that, you can pay another red, give it haste, which is a lot of fun to do. I like playing it out on turn 4 instead of turn 3, because giving it haste is like, it's great. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. It really is. You can also pay 3 mana, 2 colors, and a green to give it +2/+2. You can only do it once, but still, pumping it up to a 6/6 is kind of nice. It gets rid of most things if it's a 6/6. Even an opponent's Sagu Mauler, if you really have to do it that way. Not as much fun, but it works. And you can also pay 3, 2 colorless, and a blue to return it to your hand. So if someone targets this and tries to kill it, and you have a mana available, you can put it back in your hand. And not make the mistakes I have, because I wasn't paying attention like I should have been. 4 copies of those because Savage Knuckleblade is awesome. Let me tell you, awesome. Alright, the next 2 are one-ofs because that's all I have, which is really sad because they need to be more. Well, at least this card does. Polukranos, World Eater. He's big, he's bad, he's a Hydra. He costs 4 mana, 2 colors, 2 green, for a 5/5. He's huge! He also has Monstrosity, where you can pay X and X and a green, and it gets X bigger. You get to put X+1/+1 counters on it, and you get to deal X damage divided as you choose between creatures, and they also get to deal damage equal to their power to Polukranos. So if you don't kill them, you're kind of in trouble, but basically you can get rid of a bunch of little mana dorks this way with this guy, which is awesome if your opponent has Hornet Queen out, and you can be like, pick, 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 pick. I got rid of 4 of your dudes with 1 monstrosity. Yes, my deck needs more of these. I'm buying more of these as soon as I can, because Polukranos is awesome. I also included a very fun one of, let me tell you, this one's fun to play with. Clever Impersonator. I like this card. I opened one up and I had it and I was like, I'm putting it in this deck because I'm running blue. So that is basically the only rationale I need to play this card. 4 mana, 2 colorless, 2 blue for a 0/0. But when it enters the battlefield, you get to make a copy of any non-land permanent. Let me say that again. Any non-land permanent. So, they have a planeswalker you like? Yeah, you can take it. They have a creature you want? Yeah, you can take that. Whatever you want. It's beautiful. I copied a Rattlemaster because I could. I copied a Courser because I could. I copied a Sagu Mauler. Well, it was my Sagu Mauler, but still, I could do it. And having 2 6/6 tramples with Hexproof. I copied a Savage Blade and had enough to give it haste. It's a glorious thing to be able to attack for that much on that turn. I really like Clever Impersonator. The only reason I won't be running him in my final form of this deck is that 2 blue mana makes it a little more expensive, and I'd rather have more green and more red because of Polukranos and a couple other cards. Yes, but still, sweet card to play. I also include 3 copies of Buried Companion because I had a 4/4 bear plushie token that needed to be played. And there's nothing more satisfying than slapping down this giant plushie bear onto your mat and saying, I get a 4/4 bear token. I'm going to swing with it and eat your cards. And it was a lot of fun. My opponents were kind of like, oh my goodness. And yes, it's huge, it's big, it's awesome. So you pay 5 mana, 2 colorless, a green, a red, and a blue, and you get a 2/2 creature, but when it comes into the battlefield you get your 4/4 bear, because 4/4 bears. Although a bear is technically a 2/2, but we're going to pretend like it's a gigantic bear. That's a 4/4. So yes, 3 copies of that because I wanted every opportunity I had to call that. Pull that bear out. Every opportunity. Alright, I also include 1 copy of Stormbreath Dragon because Stormbreath Dragon, this deck needs more, but I only have the 1, so we're dealing with that. It's 5 mana, 3 colorless, 2 red for a 4/4 flying haste, protection from white. So much fun to clever impersonate this guy! Yeah, I'm a mean person sometimes. I really am sometimes. So yes, he also has the monstrosity cost of 7 mana, 5 colorless, 2 green. That's 2 red. Sorry. You're gonna put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and then Stormbreath Dragon becomes big. It deals that much damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in their hand. So he's kind of really a big jerk, and he flies, and I don't. Yeah, he's good. I like him a lot. I need mores. I'm gonna get mores. And my final 3 creatures belong to Sagu Mauler, my 6/6 hexproof trampler with a morph cost, but I don't care. He's so good. I like him a lot. That hexproof makes things so much better. 6 mana, 4 colorless, a green and a blue for a 6/6. You can also pay 3, play him face down, and then pay only 5, 3 colorless, a blue and a green to turn him face up. So that's kind of sweet. Like, really sweet. 6/6 trample hexproof. I like it. I like it a lot. So that's all the creatures in this deck. Spells in this deck consist of 4 copies of Lightning Strike because 4 copies of Lightning Strike, you just have to. 3 mana or 2 mana for 3 damage to creature or player. Yeah, that's really awesome. It's good. I also include 1 copy in the main board of Searing Blood, 2 red mana to deal 2 damage to a creature, and when it dies you get to deal 3 damage to the player, so that's kind of fun to do. And it looks like cheesy blood dripping out of his hand. Cheese. Like cheese. Not cheesy blood, just cheese. I also include 2 copies of Crater's Claw because I really like the art on this, and Crater's Claw. It's X and a red. And it does X damage to target creature or player, so you can also use it to burn your opponent in the face for the last points of damage you need. And if you have a 4 power creature or greater, which is like basically almost everything in my creature deck except the Mana Dorks there of the Wilds and your 2/2 Bear Companion, which gives you a 4/4 basically. Yeah. So if you have a creature 4 or greater, which you more than likely will, you get to do X +2. So it basically becomes at least a Lightning Strike, possibly better. You can also pay 1 red mana and cast it for just 2 if you have a creature 4 or greater. So that's kind of nice. Like really nice. And final 3 cards in the deck are 3 copies of Temur Charm. It's a lot of fun to do. You get a green, a blue, a red. You can either give a creature you control +1/+1 until the end of turn. It fights target creature your opponent or you don't control. So basically +1/+1 in fighting is awesome. You can pick off things with that. It's great. You can also basically mana leak your opponent if they counter target spell unless they play 3 or more, and when you have all 3 of those in your hands and your opponent is like about to die and is just trying to, you know, kill your creatures as best as they can, and you just sit there Temur Charm, they're like, I hate you so much, and you win. It's great. It's a great feeling because countering spells are awesome. And its final ability, creatures with power of 3 or less can't block. Yay! When you're playing against like something like Mana Dorks or Sylvian and Courser, yeah, now they can't block with those big blockers they have, and you can just trample or just run over them with all your creatures because they won't have anything in the way. I like it a lot. I used it for I think every single one at some point, and they all worked really well. So that's the basic 60 cards in the deck. Sideboard includes 2 copies of Magma Spray, a red to do 2 damage to a creature, and if it would die this turn, exile it instead. It's a good way to get rid of Blood-Soaked Champion, because that card's a jerk. I mean, I like playing him, but I don't like playing against him. Coming back is kind of mean. You have to kill him multiple times. It's rude. Magma Spray takes care of that. Yay! Also helps prevent delve stuff, because they're exiled instead, and I can't delve for them. It's even better. Also include 1 copy of Icy Blast, because Icy Blast is awesome. X and a blue, you get to tap X target creatures. If you have a creature 4 or greater, you get to, they don't untap during your opponent's next untap step, which is awesome, especially if you play it at the right time, and then you can basically swing with all your creatures twice because everything's tapped. It's great. I also include 2 copies of Destructive Revelry, a red and a green to destroy target enchantment or artifact, which is really nice because there's a lot of artifacts and Courser is an enchantment, and most of my burn stuff and removal did not handle anything 3 power or greater, so this guy works against Courser. And when that dies, you get to do 2 damage to that permanent it's controlling. This also is not fun to play against Ugin's glowy orb thing, where if it goes to the graveyard, they get to take an extra turn. But if they're trying to shrapnel blast them, I'd rather do 2 damage to their face than have 5 damage done to me, which I did get to do that once. They still got their extra turn, but at least I hit them for 2 and I didn't get hit for 5, so that's good. That was great. I mean, extra turn? It's okay. Alright. 3 copies of Hunt the Hunter, 1 green mana for a sorcery. You get to give your creature, oh hi Jack. You get to give your creature 1 green creature you control +2/+2, and it fights target green creature you don't control. So that's pretty nice because quite a few of your creatures are green, like Polukranos, all your multicolor stuff are green. I believe your bear tokens are green, so you'll have targets for this, and in the actual version of this deck there's a lot more green stuff. And I mean, even giving your Rattleclaw Mystic plus stuff and having it take out things, because I mean +2/+2 gives it 4 power, that can take out quite a bit of stuff, so that's nice. I also did 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 1 colorless, 2 red mana to deal 3 damage to all creatures, and if they would die this turn you exile them instead of putting them in the graveyard. So that was kind of, I mean, if I didn't have enough land and I was having to get rid of my mana dorks, it really sucks to have that in your card instead of some more burn, but it becomes a necessity if you're running against a whole bunch of like aggro decks, and it's a good board wipe for that. And then you get to put them in their exile instead of graveyard, so no delving for them either. So yes. And I also include 3 copies of Stubborn Denial, 1 blue mana to counter target non-creature spell. It's non-creature, which makes it sad because most decks I ran into were running creatures. Counter non-target creature spell unless its controller plays 1 extra. If you have a creature with 4 or greater, then you get to basically just counter that spell. There's no chance for them to pay any extra mana. So it was fun to be able to do that, but you have to make sure it's a creature, non-creature spell, because creature spells don't work against it, which is dumb, but it makes sense. And my last 2 copies, I have 1 copy of Temur Ascendancy. 3 mana, green, blue, red. You give to all creatures you control half haste. Yay! That's how I was able to win a couple times. I mean, flashing in 2 Boon Satyrs and swinging for 8 is a beautiful thing. So, all creatures you control have haste, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater, which is basically everything, enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. It's a fantastic way to reload. I'm thinking I might put maybe 1 more of this. It's really awesome. Like, seriously awesome. And the final card in the deck is Surrak Dragonclaw. I opened him at pre-release promo, and I'm really happy with it. He is 5 mana, 2 colorless, a green, a blue, and a red for a 6/6 human giant legendary warrior creature. Yes! He also has flash. Yes! He can't be countered. Yay! And all creature spells you control can't be countered either. Yay! And other creatures you control have trample. I don't care that he doesn't have trample. Everything else has trample, and he's a giant relevant threat. It's beautiful. Yes, it is. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy with this deck. It went 3-1 at FNM. It got me 2nd place out of 8 at my first game day, and then I ended up going 6 out of 12 my second game day. I didn't play as well. I was really tired. So, yes, I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to make the changes I want to make to it because I think it's going to be even better after that. But let me know what you think of it in the comments below, like this video, and subscribe for more.